Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering cars. You know,
Vroom
um,
vroom.
y- yeah, usually we cover movies, but this time we're discussing cars.
So have you heard about that new Ferrari coming out?
No, I haven't.
I
Tell me
haven't.
about it.
No, yeah. What's a Ferrari?
Yeah. Anyway, obviously this podcast will contain spoilers for the movie Cars. If you'd like to avoid spoilers, you can find a link below to Just Watch, which will have links to all the places you can rent, purchase, or stream the movie. Our link is to the US version of the site. However, if you use the Just Watch app, it will automatically redirect you to your country's page. And if you use the website, you can change the country from the website page. You can join us tomorrow. You can join us tomorrow for Dragon Ball Z Abridged, uh, Season 2. And I am going to spin the wheel now to determine what we are covering next Monday. And. Ooh, okay. The wheel landed on Spider Man 2.
Interesting. Finally getting
So,
further in our quest to Spider-Man.
yeah. It's interesting how the wheel has gone from pretty solid movie, but, it's the first in a two-parter to this movie, which is just okay. And
Yeah.
then debatably the best Spider-Man movie of all time.
Well, Spider-Verse.
That one's also one of the ones that's up there.
Fair enough. I guess that's why it's
But
debatably.
yeah. You can join us next week for Spider-Man 2 and Agent Carter Season 2. A lot of twos.
Wait, have we
Uh,
recorded Agent Carter Season 2?
no, we have not.
Huh.
Wait. Yeah, these episodes are supposed to release in March anyway. Uh,
We're up to
so,
March? Oh my god.
yeah.
Huh.
For the people listening, we're recording this in February, early February.
The Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet. I would say my predictions, but I really don't care.
I didn't even know that because I don't follow sports.
My family does, so I just knew.
Yeah. Like, we don't even yet know what our free movie of the month was for March. Because, like, it's still February. I mean, if everything goes right, I'm hoping it's West Side Story, the 1961 version. But we'll
You'll
see.
know if Avery's dreams were crushed or lifted.
I mean, either way, I'm watching the movie next month. Because, like, even if it is no longer free, it's still on Prime Video, which I have.
All right.
Yeah. So, regardless, the okay. So, regardless, that's upcoming episodes and junk. Uh, so also in the description below, you will find a link to our Patreon, which has bleh. God, my brain is crapping today. Okay. The link to our Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of this show and get access to episodes early, as well as early access to our to episodes of our sister show Off the Shelf, which is about books. That podcast is exclusive to YouTube and Patreon. Also, in the description below, you will find a link to Anchor.fm, which itself has links to every platform that this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified when we release a new episode. With all that stuff out of the way, the spoiler section for Cars begins now, so please leave if you'd like to avoid spoilers.
Vroom vroom.
Wow, I can't believe you would just spoil the end of the movie like that.
No, I didn't just spoil the end. I spoiled the beginning and the middle as well.
Yeah. Damn, spoiled the entire movie in 2 words.
Or are those even words? Can you call them words?
Yes, specifically, I would call them a type of word known as automatopoeia.
That's a fun word to say.
Yes, it is. But anyway, so as a kid, I never quite realized how much of an asshole Lightning McQueen is at the beginning of this movie.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, of course, he's supposed to be this way. The style of
Yeah,
making a flawed character so they can learn through hardships.
the entire point is like, oh, it's his character development, blah 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 blah. I just, it's something I never picked up on. There's also an adult joke. Well, I don't know if it's adult or eh, it's a joke that flew over my head as a kid. So Lightning McQueen is making an appearance for his sponsor, Rusty's. And he says, race cars don't need headlights because the track is always lit. To which someone replies, so is my brother, but he still needs headlights. That joke completely flew over my head as a kid.
I
Oh
think it's
my
still
god.
flying over my head.
Basically, his brother's high all the time.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. How a car gets high, I don't know. You know, that's another interesting thing about this movie. Um, so there is a debate amongst the community of people who like enjoy the Pixar theory as to whether or not the cars in these movies are machines or
Yes.
organic creatures.
Hmm. Well, you
I
can see
mean,
the cars locking themselves. If that isn't a creepy thing to add to the discussion, I don't know what is.
yeah, there's also like the fact that they have tongues and teeth, and like there's a lot of good evidence there.
So,
And
like,
then
are
like
they locking the access to their organs?
I have no idea. We also see the
Food for
cars go to the
thought.
bathroom.
But they also they drink gas, but they
Yeah,
can
it's
also run
so
out of gas.
yeah, it's so weird. And like Cars placement in the Pixar theory is weird in and of itself. I don't know that it totally completely works. And now that we have Lightyear, there's also the possibility that Cars is a series of movies within the Pixar universe. That
I would admit that would make a lot more sense. And
yeah,
even
but
because the Pixar theory explains how the cars take on the personalities of their owners. But if it was just a movie, you can have it explained by these are just references to real people in the Pixar universe.
yeah, and there's also like a lot of other things throughout other Pixar movies, like a truck driver in Finding Dory is wearing a Lightning McQueen band-aid. And while, yes, that could be a hint as to when the real Lightning McQueen driver was alive, it could also just be movie merchandise.
That's also true. But
Yeah,
another thing that Lightyear did was make it clear that it was a movie.
yeah, it was very clear. Like in the literal opening scene of Lightyear, it literally tells you that it's a movie within a movie.
That's fucking meta.
Yeah. But then like also speaking of movies within movies, apparently Sleeping Beauty is a movie within this movie because Mater
I
references it.
what?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know.
Or wait, what is? Sorry. So what if the Pixar theory is right, but also, you know, the Sleeping Beauty thing also happened, and it's like something like that Titanic, where it happened, and then years later they made a movie on it.
This stuff gets really complicated if you dig into every single reference. That's partly why I wanted to do that other project I was telling you about. I don't want to announce it here though, because I still think the first episode is a long way off.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean? This episode comes out in what did you say, March?
Yeah, but the first episode of this other project might not be out for ages, because, there's a lot more research
Fair
that goes
enough.
into it. So, Lightning McQueen in this movie is played by Owen Wilson. And Owen Wilson is an actor who we will see later in the MCU. But the thing is, I don't know that he ever said wow in this movie. And that's like his trademark. The way he says wow is
Really?
like it's the thing everybody knows him for. It's like, wow, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. There's never a line where Lightning Queen would say that.
Yeah, I don't recall it ever being said. I do remember listening out for it, but like about 3/4 of the way for the movie, I stopped trying to pay attention to whether or not he did. Um,
Honestly, like if he did, it would have been in those 3/4 that you were paying attention to.
and then there's also okay, so Mac in this movie is voiced by John Ratzenberger, um, who, well, there's some meta jokes about it in the credits scenes. There's like references to like the Abominable Snowman, who's also voiced by him, and Piggy, the Piggy Bank from Toy Story, who's also voiced by him.
Damn,
And then
I forgot that
there's,
character's name. Maybe like Ham or something.
yeah, something. But then there was also a character from A Bug's Life who was voiced by him, and I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Heimlich. I don't remember.
Well, you can't remember because it's the Bug's Life.
Yeah, it's A Bug's Life. Even though I just watched this credit scene earlier, I also love that there is all these parodies of other Pixar movies in the credits. It's kind of funny. You are a toy car.
Damn, I hate just learning when I'm a toy car. But
For real.
Cars is just so confusing. I remember we had this conversation fucking maybe a year or two back about how the story could still be the same even if they're not cars. And rewatching this movie, with the basic plot, I absolutely agree with you, but I feel like there's way too many small details in this movie that they just were not cars. It just completely mess up.
See, I think if you take out the tractor tipping scene, and then just replace all the characters with humans who are driving around in these cars, yeah, the entire plot works.
I
100%.
wouldn't say like the plot, like the actual story, but there's just way too many stuff like hell. I actually do kind of like the world building that they did in this movie. If only the plot was integrated in a lot of the world building.
Well, see, the reason this gets brought up is because other Pixar movies, like Toy Story, for example, rely on the fact that the characters are toys. Um, like, the plot can't work any other way. Whereas with this, you could just substitute the cars for, well, you could substitute the cars being alive for human drivers and still make this same story work. You might have to change a couple of details here and there, but it would still work. Now, that's not to
I
say this
feel
is a
like
bad movie.
less like the plot would still work, but a lot of you have to change completely on how the world building is.
The
And
world
honestly, I
building,
kind
which
of
they
like the
kind of
world building.
which the world building, which they kind of barely do in this movie. They, from what I understand, they do a lot more world building in Cars 2, and from what I've heard, that is Pixar's worst movie.
Yeah. See, Cars 2 is one of the biggest things of like why Cars? If you want to make a spy movie, you could have just made an original spy movie. Why did you bring in
Uh,
Cars with it?
oh, you mean like Spies in Disguise? That's another
No,
movie
because
I haven't seen.
yeah, and it's also on our wheel. Maybe we'll cover it one day.
Yeah, hopefully we'll cover it one day. What did the wheel land on
But
again? Oh yeah, Spider-Man 2.
yeah, but yeah, I
That's
completely
gonna be
concur
fun.
with what you say. It's like this movie is just average.
Yeah, it's average, and I know a lot of people try to say it's bad, and it brings me to something that I get really annoyed with. Not every Pixar movie's story has to be groundbreaking. Not every Pixar movie has to make you cry. Like, Pixar is allowed to make movies that are just okay. And we need to stop holding them to this ridiculously high standard because that's a lot for anyone to live up to.
That is very true. And honestly, so actually, apparently, growing up, this was one of my favorite films, and I would watch it like multiple times a day when I was really young.
See, here's my perspective, I guess. If this movie weren't made by Pixar, let's say if it's DreamWorks, let's go with DreamWorks because they hit or miss a lot. This would be considered one of their good movies.
Definitely in the top half when you have stuff like Sinbad and Boss Baby.
Ugh, we don't talk about Boss Baby. That would be a really weird parody.
Yeah, it would, and one I don't actually want to think about right now.
But anyway, you know, it's weird to me that Pixar has released movies like this and Turning Red and Inside Out, and apparently they're making an Inside Out 2, which I just found out like earlier this week. But the thing is, Inside Out 2, in my opinion, has more sequel potential than this movie ever did.
That's true. Though I actually think that they did good with Cars 3.
I've heard that Cars 3 is the best Cars movie. Like, I've actually heard that a number of times, but. And I've also heard that it doesn't reference Cars 2 at all. So there's that.
It doesn't. But speaking about Cars, because Cars is very, extremely weird property. Who approved this many shorts?
I have no idea. I do know that some shorts were very clearly set up in this movie. I do remember there being a short about the ghost light, and that's very much
Oh
set
yeah.
up in this movie.
I was actually weirdly interested on when I heard that. I was like, wait, that's a short. Amazing.
Yeah, but that's the only car short. Well, there's also the Screaming Banshee short, unless they're both the same short, in which case I'm dumb.
Hmm. I'll have to look through
But
all the shorts. There's too many to think at once.
yeah, there's like a fuck ton. Why did I don't know. I know there's an A113 in this movie. I don't know where it is. Um,
Was it on a license
I
plate?
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. There is the strong potential that it was on my screen and I would have seen it if not for subtitles, because I know subtitles had covered up license plates a number of times.
Hmm. And there was a Pizza Planet truck, right?
Yeah, there was a living Pizza Planet truck, which is another thing that I'm going to eventually be using in that project that we talked about.
Fucking living Pizza Planet trucks? Avery,
No,
what is
just
this
Pizza
project you're
Planet.
talking about? I'm
No, just
keeping
Pizza
I'm
Planet in
keeping the
general.
audience guessing.
But like, I don't know. To me, it's like, that this kind of circles back to the Pixar theory in a way, where like,
Kind of, yeah.
see, the thing is about the Pixar theory that I find interesting is that is it even really a theory anymore? Because it's pretty easy to establish that all the Pixar movies take place in the same universe without even referencing the Pixar theory at all. Like, you can pretty easily establish almost all of them guaranteed taking place in the same universe.
Well, I mean,
What the pic
an argument like, these are just references can break something like that.
I don't know if it can, because like, to me, like, yeah, they're references, but they clearly establish something in the canon. Like, when literal characters from one movie show up in another, and it's not just one character either. Like, take Finding Dory, for example. People always talk about Riley showing up in Finding Dory. And while if
Mm-hmm.
it was just Riley, you could argue, maybe not. Like, maybe these movies aren't connected. But it isn't just Riley. Every single kid we see in that scene is also a kid in that we see in her class in Inside Out. Every single one of them.
You know what's also interesting? Um, we see this, and we actually know um, that this movie takes place in San Francisco.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was about to point out. Both movies are taking place in San Francisco, or at least part of Finding Dory is in San Francisco, and the part of Finding Dory that this scene's in. So
That's
like
not is in the
that,
ocean.
yeah. So like that solidly confirms Finding Nemo and Finding Dory and Inside Out, and I guess now Inside Out too, even though that's not coming out until next year. Like they're
Wait,
definitely in the
Riley
same
took a field
universe.
trip to an aquarium? I'm jealous.
Yes. I mean, when I was in school, I took a field trip to an aquarium.
Yeah, but wait, how old is Riley? I forget.
Well, through most of Inside Out, she's 11, but she turns 12 during the movie.
Hmm. So like fifth grade, sixth grade?
I would say seventh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I haven't got no middle school. I had no field trips. I was ripped off.
My school had field trips for every grade every year, from my knowledge. But a lot of them were on weekends because a lot of students had to stay at the school.
Yeah, you went to a weird school.
It wasn't that weird,
Hell, I barely had.
but
I didn't even have field trips like in high school, but obviously I travel a lot because of band, competing and
but
whatnot.
But like, regardless, like back to Pixar for a minute. The only movie that you
Oh
can't
right.
solidly, like the only movie that you can't solidly say this takes place in the same universe is The Good Dinosaur. Because
I thought it was
dinosaurs.
Bug's Life.
No, A Bug's Life has a number of things.
Hmm.
But the
Weird.
thing is, with The Good Dinosaur, yeah, we can solidly prove dinosaurs existed in the world of Pixar, but that doesn't prove the Good Dinosaur movie happened. Even Brave can be proven because, like, even if you don't believe the Pixar theory and the idea that Boo is the witch, there is still enough evidence in Brave that proves that the witch is a time traveler.
That's true. Yeah. That, even if the doors aren't, time traveling devices, at the very least, you can think of her like fucking Kingdom Hearts or something like that, like going to different time periods and just like carving things
Yeah,
out.
I mean, okay, I guess it's a little bit debatable. She could be a time traveler or she could have the ability to see the future, but either way, there's enough evidence to say that Brave takes place in the same universe as any other movie that has the Pizza Planet truck.
Hmm. Clairvoyance. Wait, does Wally have the Pizza Planet truck?
I believe it does, yes, but even if it didn't, Wally has by and large.
Right. Yeah. I was just curious.
Eh, yeah,
By
so
and
like the by and
large
large brand connects
superstore.
that. Yeah, by and large is a brand that connects a lot of Pixar movies together, including the Cars movies.
Why do I know the entire jingle by and large?
I don't
That's
know why
weird,
you
right?
know that. Yeah, that is kind of weird. You know, another
Huh.
thing, this movie connects to Toy Story, the first one, through another
Really?
brand. Yeah. You ever heard of Dynaco?
No. I mean, yes, but no.
Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
Dynaco is sponsoring the King, and by the end of the movie, they offer a sponsorship to Lightning McQueen, which he turns down. But the thing about Dynaco is they own a gas station that Andy's mom stops at in Toy Story.
Oh, yeah. Wait, that. Oh, God, my brain hurts now. So, wait, how is
Yeah,
Dynaco
you see why I
surviving
say
after all humanity is dead? And how do they have enough money after all humans are dead to supply a race car team?
we don't really know what happened, but also, if you believe the Pixar theory, the humans aren't dead; they're just not on Earth. Of course, it's debatable whether or not the Cars placement in the Pixar theory even works, because there is the idea that they are movies within a movie. But then, how does the Dynaco connection work? Product placement.
That is very true. Just product placement.
Exactly. That's where things get really, really weird.
I don't know if I believe a movie within a movie is like I feel like Pixar would be very clear now. That's another thing. I wonder if a new Pixar movie could confirm that. Wait, I just had the best idea. Um, Inside Out 2 has Riley watching Cars.
That would be interesting. You know, there's also like definitely solid connections that Inside Out and Up take place in the same universe. Um, like for one, there you have to actually, be paying really close attention to see this. But one of Riley's memory orbs shows Carl and Ellie and their house,
Hmm.
meaning Riley has memories of Carl and Ellie. Um, and then also when she's running around her house in Minnesota, there is a picture of Ellie. And that does tie into the Riley is adopted theory, which I'm not going to get into right now. But like all
Yeah.
of that stuff is used. All of that stuff is used as evidence for the Riley is adopted theory. But like the way I see it, like if you want to have that theory that Riley is adopted, and like that actually leads into another theory that Riley's mom is infertile and is Ellie's sister.
Huh.
Yeah, like there's a lot to this. Like it's fascinating, but like if you wanted to say Riley's mom and Ellie are sisters, then you first have to establish that the two movies take place in the same universe, which like Inside Out pretty much confirms.
Hmm. Okay.
But then there's also a connection to Toy Story and Up, which like there's enough evidence to connect Toy Story to Up with like a letter that is delivered to Carl and Ellie, but we see Andy's mom has it in Toy Story, and it's kind of hard for a post office to send a letter if if the recipient is in another universe.
What? I'm sorry. What do you mean? Have you not tried out a cross-dimensional postal service?
Yeah, I mean, regardless, like this movie is weirdly placed in the Pixar theory, and everything about it is debatable. I mean, Pixar theory purists don't even count the Planes movies as existing. But like at the very beginning of Planes, the at the very beginning of Planes, it literally says from the world of Cars, which like I don't know if we should cover Planes. Like, do we
Why
tack
is
the
that?
Planes movies on at the end of Cars 3?
I Oh shit! I haven't thought about that.
Realistically, we could also take a break and cover Planes later.
I was thinking of some. Yeah, I've actually not thought about planes in a long time, by choice.
Yeah, it's a mess. But like, if it's a movie within a movie, like if the Cars series is a series of movies within the Pixar universe, then the Planes movies are basically equivalent to the direct-to-DVD sequels that we have of Disney movies, because those are also made by a different studio. But here's the interesting thing about it. The direct-to-video sequels of Disney movies are made by the same studio that made Planes and Planes Fire and Rescue.
You are actually hurting my brain.
Yeah. You
But
see how
why?
this gets you see how this gets wild.
This is a clusterfuck.
Yeah, we also know that Disney exists in the world of Pixar because we see posters for the opening of Disneyland in Monsters Inc. So
Oh, I
there's
want.
that.
Well, well, it's also interesting. You only see Disneyland, right? So I
Hmm.
wonder if you could argue in this universe, Disney only has a theme park.
That's a possibility. But then you also have another thing to consider. The world of
Hmm.
Pixar exists. Okay, so like if Cars is a movie within a movie, then it's actually a movie within a movie within a movie. Because the world of Pixar exists within the world of Wreck-It Ralph. And it's very clear that all the movies referenced in Ralph Breaks the Internet are movies within that world.
I'm just gonna be honest. I think we lost all of our viewers. They're just like so confused right now. It's like, I'm sorry, what the hell are you guys talking about?
Yeah. I mean, we're going on so many tangents, but yeah, this
This is a
movie
side
is
tangent and a
really
side tangent.
confusing at times. So I do want to go back to this movie and talk about some other things. The comedy in this movie, some of it's good, some of it's absolute ass. I think the worst joke
Definitely hit and
is
miss.
when, yeah, I think the worst joke is when Lightning McQueen says he won three piston cups, and Mater says he did what in his cup? That's not funny. And neither
Yeah.
is like making the tractors backfiring sounding like farts.
I just find the tractors a little bit funny. Mostly just attacking random tractors.
Yeah, the thing about it that wasn't funny was making the tractors backfiring sounding like farts. Like, did they have to?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I understand. Like, there's a part that was funny and a part that wasn't funny.
Yeah, exactly. So like things hit, things missed. I think one of the most enjoyable aspects of this movie to me was the relationship between Lightning and Sally.
I find that the most confusing part of this movie. It
I think
brings in the
it's
part of car
probably
reproduction.
we don't know that cars even have kids
That's a good point, but then why are they hooking up?
because I mean, actually this really makes the Pixar theory idea that the cars are taking on the personalities of their human owners, like that gives it more
But then
weight.
how are there new cars then?
The Pixar theory explanation is that cars wake up essentially in the order that they are cared for.
Hmm.
So
Like
that's
the
why
plot of Cars 3 was um that oh no, new cars are entering the field of racing and they're outpacing Lightning McQueen.
yeah, so like the idea is like the cars that are older cars, they're very clearly older models. Um, and they were cared for by humans who were older. Do you see
Hmm.
where that line of logic goes?
A little
The
bit.
cars, yeah, like so the cars they're waking up in the order in which they were cared for. So obviously the older cars are going to wake up first, and then they're going to get replaced by newer models as time goes on. That's the Pixar theory explanation. It works, I guess, but I mean everything about cars placement in the Pixar theory is debatable.
Yeah. I mean, like right now, well, it's actually extremely weird because, like, I guess right now it takes place like during Wally or before Wally, but after all the humans have gone off. But
Yeah.
then in that case, you would think there'd be a lot more trash because the world was literally too trashed to live in.
See, that's one of the things that the Pixar theory, like some Pixar theory theorists, I guess, um, like debate on. Because like the
And
idea
then
is like maybe
actually,
the
if
humans had to leave
we
Earth.
saw we saw plants in cars,
Yeah. Well, the thing
and
is
those
like
Eve
maybe the
robots would be picking up. Even if cars cleaned up after the entire world, the Eve robots would pick up that there's green life growing.
yeah, I know everywhere you're going with this, so can I just explain?
Yes.
Okay. So, for starters, it's very possible that the humans would have had to leave Earth long before the planet gets to the level of pollution that we see in Wally. Also, the pollution also would be made worse if the only inhabitants of Earth for at least a couple hundred years were cars. Also, the Wallies might be sent to specific places that are filled with trash to clean up, and we just don't see those places in the Cars movies. And then the whole point about the Eve drones doesn't even matter because we know, thanks to Directive A113, they could have been coming back with vegetation time and time and time again, but they were never going back.
That's true. Yeah. Then another thing is, when was that directive sent out? Like, how long ago? From the time that they left Earth to the time that that message was sent out.
I don't really know. I'd probably have to go back and watch Wally again to see. And even then, it might not tell me.
Because I actually do know what the entire thing of the Wally bots were supposed to do. They're
Yeah,
supposed to
cleaning up
put
trash.
all the trash into a pie, like a pillar, and to have a disintegrator disintegrate all of that. A113 probably revealed that that was a terrible idea, and he put on a gas mask, which makes me wonder if the disintegration process disintegrated something that released toxic chemicals in the air.
Well, I mean, I imagine the disintegration process would release all the particles of that stuff into the atmosphere. Breathing that stuff in would be absolutely awful.
So I
And
think,
I guess it's also worth pointing out that by the time we get to the events of Wall-E, the cars would have already died off. By the time we get to Cars
yeah.
2, there's already an energy crisis.
God, why is everyone having energy crises?
Crises is the plural of
Crazy.
crisis.
But also in Cars 3, because Cars 3 just ignores Cars 2 unless you want to. No, that can't even be done. You can't put like Cars 3s before Cars 2 because the events of Cars 3 would contradict that.
Yeah, I think the way, regardless, at a certain point, there are no new cars to be brought back because the humans are gone.
Look, I'm still
So,
in the camp that these cars are reproducing. I don't know how, but that just sounds vaguely interesting enough.
So you're in the camp that they are not machines, that they are organic creatures.
Somehow, yes. See those tongues? What the hell is that?
Yeah, it's something.
Also, the fact that they're just like locking their organs so like no one can steal them is super funny to me. Also, but there's also another thing, like Doc Doc Hudson is dead because his voice actor is dead, so they just had to kill him off. But how does that even work? How they don't even explain it. It's like a Band-Aid action because the voice actor died.
Well, okay, let's be realistic about this here. So, we see the Doc Hudson car in The Incredibles, which implies that the owner of Doc Hudson would have been alive in the 1960s, because Incredibles takes place in 1962. Now, a truck driver is wearing a Band-Aid with Lightning McQueen branding on it in Finding Dory. Finding Dory takes place in 2004.
Huh.
So I think there is enough time passing between 1962 and 2004 for the driver of Doc Hudson to die during that time. I mean, that's 42 years. And
And then you
clearly,
also have like all of his friends in Cars 3, which are still alive.
yeah, but are any of them nearly as old as Doc Hudson in this movie? I don't really think so.
Yes, they are really old. I mean, they're older in Cars 3 because, aging. God,
But I
Cars be
asked,
weird.
were they as old as Doc Hudson? Like in this movie, were they as old as Doc Hudson was in this movie?
I think so.
I don't think so at all. Sally's clearly not as old as Doc Hudson. I don't think Mater is either. Um, number of other characters, Luigi. You know what? Those are the only names I can remember.
Huh. Okay. God,
But
that
I
was a
mean,
good save.
regardless, what was a good save?
Um, my mom just came in my room, but I lowered the recording volume so none of it got caught up in Audacity.
Gotcha. We're about to wrap up anyway.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have much else to say.
Oh,
I guess there's also the possibility that the cars would die relative to when their owners die.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
don't have that much to say about Cars, though it feels like we just spent the entire movie on theories.
yeah, so I think the bottom line with Cars is it's an okay movie. People need to stop hating so much on it because if it was made by DreamWorks, you'd say it's one of the top half of DreamWorks movies. But because
But
it's
if
made by
Cars 2 was made
Pixar,
by
and
DreamWorks, let's be honest, it'd probably be bottom half, but at least better than Boss Baby. Let's get into those ratings.
yeah, hold on, I'm not done summarizing everything.
Aw.
Uh, so yeah, like I said, stop holding Pixar to this ridiculously high standard. Not every movie they release has to be groundbreaking. Okay, the the plot fine, but it didn't necessarily require them to be cars for the plot to work. So you know, it's something. It's okay. The humor hit or miss. Some jokes hit, others completely miss. Fart jokes bad. Piss joke bad. Okay, and then the other thing is, before we get into ratings, I do have to mention there is a Wilhelm scream in this movie, so I'm knocking off a
Really?
decimal point. Yes.
Huh.
It's very early. It's in a Lightning McQueen daydreaming sequence, but it's there.
Hmm. Oh, wait, there's another thing I want to say. There's a theory that one of them, I think there's like a part of this movie where one of the cars like brings up their headlights and is thought of as flashing. Like,
Oh, God, I wish you didn't talk about that. I knew that existed.
I feel like we couldn't have gone through the entire movie without it, without at least bringing it up. Don't know why it happened, but it happened.
All right, so critic ratings. Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie a 74%. IMDb gives it a 7.2 out of 10. Letterboxd gives it a 3.5 out of 5. And 87% of Google users like this movie.
Honestly, this movie is pretty average. So, but good average. So I'm not actually just gonna say 7.5.
I would give this 7.0, but the Wilhelm scream knocks it down to 6.9.
Nice. Thank you, Wilhelm Scream. You make nice
Yeah.
numbers.
So yeah, you can join us tomorrow for Dragon Ball Z Abridged Season 2. You can join us next week for Spider-Man 2 and Agent Carter Season 2. A lot of twos. And at some point in the future, you can join us for Cars 2.
Too many twos.
But anyway, until next time, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and we will be seeing you.